going to do this morning is try to spread a little sunshine. And I'll do my very best. I wrote down this at 1 o'clock this morning. Brother Hyles said we're supposed to have a slumber party. He calls this a slumber party. And I thought to myself this morning, what would be more fun than to turn this into a slumber party? So, I brought my robe. Yellow, of course.
For sunshine.
Yellow for sunshine. And I have, because you want to be comfortable on a vacation. See, when we go on a vacation, we sometimes rest. That's the idea. So when you rest, you want to take off your clothes and put on something comfortable. So I'm wearing my Tweety slippers. They're not mine, my daughter's. And then, when you're on vacation, you're supposed to have a slumber party. You're supposed to relax. So you need a favorite drink. If you're against Pepsi, it's red, white, and blue. It's patriotic. Mrs. Buskell, I couldn't help but see you, and yesterday, her husband called, I think you called, and he was just when I was really sick at one time, and he said, JoJo, I want you to know I love Pepsi, ladies. I really mean this. When I die, I decided I want to be in a Pepsi box. I thought, would that be different? Or maybe it's not. I don't know.
You might as well, because it's going to be the Pepsi that kills you.
What a way to go. But I was said, oh, I'd love to be patriotic, red, white, and blue. I'll have my Bible highest. I'll have my can of Pepsi empty, of course, because the bus kids will take it out of my hand and drink it and put it back in my hand. I'm a bus captain. Oops, it's spilling. Excuse me. So you're going to take your favorite drink, and Mrs. Buskell, I tell you, her husband did. Her husband called me, and he said, JoJo, is it true that you want to be buried in a Pepsi can? I said, it's kind of an idea. I thought it was kind of different. Different. He said, I have someone that's going to make it for you. I kid you not, didn't he? You know, I tell these stories, I'm sure people think I make it up, but they're true. So I have my yellow sunshine cup with my little happy faces all over it. So I'm all ready, because I always feel like when I go on vacation, we need to take some time to really relax and rest. And what I do is, I really mean this, I just take some time to lay back. In the afternoons, I will go and I'll just lay on the bed and just relax, and I'll put on my house robe, put my warm slippers on, and I think it's the time when sometimes you just like to read a good book. So guess what book I chose? Mine. I thought that would be original too. But I thought I would read a couple things to you. But first of all, I just like to share this. Matthew 5, verses 14 and 16 says, Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill and cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick. And it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works, and glorify your Father which is in heaven. I believe we need to shine our lights. I sometimes shine, and I don't mean to shine. Shine in unique ways, such as, I went to Megers. Megers is known to some people as Myers, but I think it sounds nicer. Megers. Don't you? I was with you, Mrs. House, when we were in Jackson, Michigan, at Brother Steve Veach. His wife's here today, the Veaches. And do you remember this? I'm sure people think I make up this stuff. I went shopping that morning. Why so early? I don't know. Why would you go out at 4 in the morning? It was a good time to shop. Not really. I just went shopping to pick up something. And when I was there, I thought, what a neat place, Megers. And when I said that name, they all looked at me so weird, Megers. But M-E-I-J-E-R, you call it what you want. I call it Megers. Well, I went in there the other day, and I was just so excited about something. I was talking to one of the assistant managers and mentioning this display. It was so nice, and I got so excited. The entire thing fell. I mean, it wasn't a little thing, it was hundreds of pieces. I didn't know what to do, and he's, oh, ma'am, no, we'll get it. I said, oh, thank you so much. And so I took off on my way. As I was coming back, I kid you not, the man was explaining, he saw me, he goes, that's the one. There she is, right there. She's the one. She sure brought some sunshine to our store today. And as he said that, he laughed, and he knocked the whole display down. That was 2 days ago. Yesterday, I went to Walmart. While I'm at Walmart, I got, ladies, when you buy nylons and they say tall, make sure they're really tall. Have you ever worn nylons that start coming down while you're speaking? I was teaching a class at Howells Anderson College, and I thought the girls were going to have a real new story. I could feel them moving down and moving down and moving down. I thought, oh no. I went to the restroom, took care of it properly, went on my way, forgot about it. I was in Walmart, and I was walking rather quickly. And you know how you feel something funny, but you think the bathroom's only from here to that door. I can make it. I can make it. I started walking faster, and they were coming down till they were around my ankle. And I tried to move and tripped, fell on another display. I'm laying flat, the display's on me, and two of our Howells Anderson College men are above me. Can we help you? No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Sunshine. Sunshine is more so needed for you and for me, and we need to give it out. I just jotted down three thoughts how we can give sunshine. We give sunshine away through a smile. We really do. Smile when you don't feel like it. Smile when you think people need it. And by the way, as a byproduct, I promise you get it back. Smile when you don't even feel like it. Smile like yesterday. I don't need to read the book, Mrs. Emms. I have new stories. We have a new dog, number 3. And I'm smiling as I'm saying it, aren't I? We brought this back from California. It's a boxer. And the boxer, we brought it back on the plane in a little carry-all case. But the bathroom was not in that little thing, so I thought, well, I'll take it into the restroom. My daughter and I to the ladies' restroom, and we'll take the dog in there to take care of his problem, and got some paper and put everything down. But before I knew it, the dog, I didn't realize, because I had never had a puppy, and it just turns in circles. And as it was having a problem, it was going in circles. And if you can imagine what was happening in this bathroom, and do you ever get tickled real badly as you're trying to clean up messes, and we're trying to wash the dog in the sink? We put him back in, took him home, and I thought, I'm going to kill the dog. I'm going to kill this dog. I know I'm going to kill the dog. I've tried to become friends with him, but yesterday, it all broke. While I'm at the school, someone forgot to take the dog outside. He was in my house all day long by himself. When I looked in the door, I thought we'd been robbed. I don't know how I did it. It tore off every pillow off every couch, knocked all my flowers down. You see it? Fake it till you make it. You can hate your kids. I have laughed about that. I called my husband. I said, honey, could you come home? It's kind of an emergency. He said, is it you? And I said, no, it's an animal. It's going to die in our home very quickly. But he ended up coming in and helped me out. But the fact of the matter is just we can add sunshine through a smile. We can add sunshine through our words, with kind words, fun words, uplifting words. Someone's been a blessing you today. Tell them. So add some sunshine to someone. Write encouraging notes. Tell your kids something positive and something good about themselves. I promise you they're better kids. What about your husband this morning? What did he say to me? Hello, baby, like he always says. I want to be his baby for sure. Pay compliments. Make encouraging phone calls. Write love notes. How about number 3? Laughter. If we could just learn to laugh. Turn the heavy situations around. And that's why I wrote this book. If you catch it, these are all stories of heavy situations turned around. I'll read my favorite. Are you ready? So sit back. Pretend you have your house coat on. And your shoes, your little slippers. Take your shoes off unless it's too bad. Have your favorite drink. This early. This is my favorite. Are you ready? Turn the heavy situations around. I love tests for women only. My first mammography experience was very unusual. First, I did not want to go. My husband wanted me to go. Next, I got frustrated with those pesky robes that are either wide open in the back or in the front, depending on which way the technician says to put them on. Either way, they're still rather immodest. Well, I knew that indecent attire was not for me, so I put on the robe with the opening in the front, then an opening in the back. I still not feel fully dressed, so I put on another, and another, and another. I had on so many robes, I was sweating profusely. But I thought, at least I'm modest. Then I noticed there were some robes with some cute designs on them. So I looked at mine, looked at them, decided I need to change my gown for a cute one. Finally, I settled on which robes to wear. Next decision, which locker should I put my clothing? I noticed there were 10 lockers. That's easy. I thought, I'll use locker number 7. That's God's number. Finally, I made my way to the waiting room to sit with the rest of the patients who were waiting for their individual test. This wait was quite interesting itself, because I always make a point to try to lighten the atmosphere and get to know everyone. Do you go to the grocery store and make pen pals? I do. As I talked with the folks, I was inwardly amused because I learned that I had at one time or another most of the illnesses represented by all the women that were waiting there, except for one man who was sitting across from me. He had a disease I had never had. He also had something else I had never seen. Garters, holding up his stockings. I'm not joking. You know, he had these short little robes on. Those garters had my undivided attention. Roy, who was sitting next to me, reading, noticed that something was awry. He looked at me and saw I was staring at the poor man. "JoJo," he whispered sharply, "stop looking at that man's legs." I felt like he was punishing me for bad behavior when all I was doing was staring. I honestly tried to stop looking, but the garter man noticed my fleeting glances at his legs. Then I began to feel really bad for making him feel uncomfortable, so I said, "I'm so sorry, sir. It's just I've never seen those before." "They're garters," he said matter-of-factly. "Oh, really? I thought I was learning something new now." Roy couldn't believe me. "Why are you having a conversation about garters?" I totally changed the conversation and continued talking to the other patients. By the time the name Moffitt was called, we were cheering for each other now. When their name was called, if they'd say, "Evans, yeah, woo!" You can stay there and be, miserable. So by the time Moffitt was called, everyone knew each other on a first-name basis, and we clapped and cheered as if we were at a ball game. Also, I was ready for whatever was awaiting me in that room until I walked into that room and I saw that machine. The X-ray technician said, "We're going to place you on this little machine. You're going to feel a little bit of pressure." "You're going to do what?" I thought. The nurse continued with her seemingly programmed speech. "When I compress the paddle, you're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. When I tell you to hold your breath, don't breathe until I tell you to breathe again." Oh, okay, one side was finished. I hesitantly stated, "That paddle is a little tight, isn't it?" "Oh, it has to be tight to get a good clear reading." "Oh, okay," I said. I didn't say it out loud, but I surely thought that machine was once a part of a torture chamber. She placed the other side in the machine, compressed the paddle again. "Hold your breath." I held my breath until she said I could breathe again. Finally, I thought, finally I'm finished. The technician came from behind her screen and started to release the paddle mechanism. When she grasped the release lever, she yelped, "Ah, the machine is broken. I have to go get a serviceman." A serviceman! My mind was going 1,000,000 miles a minute. A man in here with me in this position. I suddenly pictured a man coming into the room carrying a toolbox, wearing a uniform, saying, "Jeff." Oh, thank you, as I gasped because Jeff did not the one to come in. Another lady technician came in. Oh, I was so glad. Thank you, thank you. Oh, thank you. Why are you thanking me? Oh, I just thought you were bringing a man in to fix the machine, and the technician started laughing. And she said those famous words I hear so often. I promise you, ma'am, this has never happened before. Don't tell me whatever can happen does when I go. When my mammography was finally finished, I went to my locker, number 7, to change into my street clothes. That sounds funny now when I put it that way. I'm not a woman of the streets, but what I wear on the streets. They said there are no errors in this book. I probably should change. To my shock, one of my undergarments was gone. I thought, I cannot go out without that undergarment. I thought, what do? Do I go and announce it over the public address system? Whoever took my bra out of number 7 in this changing room, please bring it back. I was close to a panic attack. Where can it be? Where can it be? Have you ever lost yours? Then you don't understand. You have no empathy unless you've lost yours. I started to retrace my steps. What did I do when I came in here? Let's see. I took off my clothes. I put on several gowns. Oh, I changed several gowns into, I started pulling the used gowns out of the laundry chute. Sure enough, there it was, hooked onto one of the gowns. I quickly got dressed and walked out of the changing room, laughing hysterically. Have you ever done this? There's nobody with you, folks. You are by yourself. I'm afraid to ask you what you were doing in there, Roy said. I kept seeing people going in and out of your x-ray room, laughing beside themselves. They couldn't control the laughter. I just nonchalantly said, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. And I have a moral to every story. Even though we all hate tests, we need to have our yearly checkups. I cannot express the importance of yearly checkups. My sister Sharon asked me to have a mammography done as a precaution. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1991 and died from the same disease, December 29th, 1997. Because of having this fun test last July, a tumor was discovered in my right breast, and a part of my right breast was removed from Mayo Clinic. At this time, though, we rejoice that no cancer has been found. But you can see it's a heavy situation turned around. Since we have our robes on and our slippers, would you like to hear another story? I'll choose one more here. I like this one because I think it kind of helps us to be the right kind of mothers. I believe it's important to be a cheerleader. I really do. If I can find that story, here it is. I believe it's important to cheer for our husbands first and cheer for our children. I want to be a cheerleader for the people that are in my path. I want to be a cheerleader for Mrs. Evans. I truly do. And I try hard. I want to be a cheerleader for Mrs. Hiles. Being a cheerleader is watching her when she speaks. I do. I watch her. Wait, did you ever see this woman? She gets more beautiful. My children and I were discussing this in a good way, Mrs. Hiles. I was saying, she is more beautiful now than when I came here 35 years ago. She is. She is more beautiful. I mean, and she doesn't change. She gets better. How does it happen? I changed my hairdo, but I still don't look like her. I'm trying. But I mean, she's beautiful. I mean, just watch people. Please learn from people. And she's a cheerleader for our preacher, her husband, her preacher. But I want to be a cheerleader for everyone in my path. And so, this is the title. Stay in the bleachers, please. Now, I've had a few instances at ball games. I believe in being there and being there. I went when I was 9 months pregnant. I was carrying our daughter Joy, who now is in junior high school. Hard to believe, our baby. I still remember going to the game, carrying Joy, and I was having slight contractions. My husband was leaving to go watch our son wrestle, and he said, I'm going to the wrestling match. He said, now he has a beeper, and I can reach him, and all that time I can reach him anytime I want. Wherever he is, I can reach him. That's another story. And so, and he said, I said, Roy, I want to go with you. If you're in labor, who do you want to be with? My husband. Well, I was still a little early. He said, well, come on with me. We went to a game out in Chesterton, Indiana, and I'll never forget it. My son, it was 3 matches going on at the same time. You've ever seen wrestling? They wrestle usually in the center mat. But this particular was competition. It was like a tournament. So he was supposed to wrestle on the center mat. But right before it began, he said, Mom, I'm not wrestling there. I'm wrestling over here. Well, I thought, I can see here. I can see fine. Now picture, you know how you feel big as a house when you're pregnant? And with one baby, I gained 83 pounds. That'll give you an idea. The baby wasn't 83 pounds. And there was only one. So I went with them and I sat there, and all of a sudden the match started just before him, and I watched it, and all of a sudden they switched. One of his opponents, not his opponent, one of the other players forfeited the game, so they moved my son one mat over. I couldn't see him real well, but I wasn't about to move. So I was trying to see, and I don't know why I did this, but I went about 2-3 up. Well, you know when you're coming up and you're pregnant, everyone kind of goes, when you're pregnant, you're walking up bleachers, and it's packed, they kind of go, oh man, this woman, help her, somebody help her. I get all the way up there and sit down, and then he moved. I thought, I can see fine, there's no problem. So he moved over to that match, and I couldn't see him, and he took down his opponent. This is a championship. And I thought, I've got to get over there. And I started coming down the bleachers, no one's moving. I said, excuse me. And as I did not know, each mat had different levels. One was higher than the other. Folks, when you're pregnant, you don't see your feet real well. I'm going as fast as I can move over and try to look feminine. And I'm walking as fast as I can, and I tripped on the mat. I didn't go tripping. I mean, just trip. I went flying. I landed on a man. I pulled the man. He was walking with his wife. I pulled the man, literally pulled his outer sweater off of him. My husband is watching all this as I'm now on top of the man, and his wife turns around to see this. It did not look good. It did not look good at all. This is not something you should do. This is for my next book. Anyway, this one is a different one. But I believe being a cheerleader. I was trying to be a cheerleader. I was just concerned my son saw me as he was wrestling. I knew absolutely nothing about wrestling until my boys told me they were going to try out for the wrestling team. Truthfully, I really did not even know what wrestling was. The only thing I'd ever remotely related to was wrestling at a Sears store. I watched it on a big screen TV one day. After my bus route, I saw this guy called Jake the Snake. This man was up on top of the things with the snake around his neck. This man, I thought, imagine how I felt when my boys came home from school and said, Mom, we're going out for wrestling. And I pictured the snake and up on top of the ring. I really didn't want to react, so I just said, oh, keep your voice up. Remember that. Oh. For his first match, my son Mike said, Mama, will you be there? I wouldn't miss it for the world, son. I'll be there. At Hammond Baptist High School, the gymnasium has raised bleachers. There are no bleachers on the main floor. The spectators have to walk up 2 side staircases to get to the actual seating area. Since I had no idea, I decided what it was about. I thought I'll just watch the other parents, how they respond, and I'll yell the same things. My husband would say, get behind him, son. Get behind him, son. I can yell that. I'll do whatever they do. So when the other wrestlers' parents cheered, or my husband cheered, I cheered. It soon became time for my son to wrestle in his weight class. When his name was called, he got up, walked to the mat, shook the opponent's hand. Yes, I can yell this. Go, Mike! Go, Mike! Almost immediately, the other boy took my son down. However, the wrestler did not just take my son down. He smashed my son to the floor on the mat. Picture this. I saw my son go down, but he didn't just go down. The other guy got on top of my son, and he had my son by the neck, and it looked like he wasn't breathing real well. And I found myself making my way to the end of that bleacher. Get up, Mike, get up. Mike, get up, son. Down the stairs I went in the gymnasium, on the mat. Let my son go, he can't breathe. He can't breathe. So here we are, the 2 wrestlers, the ref and me, on the mat. It wasn't so bad until the ref went. That meant pin. My son was pinned. What would you have done right then? I prayed, oh dear God, I beg you, please, may there be a trap door at the bottom of this floor right now. Please let me go through it right now, Lord, I'll beg you, please. When God chose not to answer my prayer, I gracefully got up. What would you have done? And walked back up to my place like nothing had happened and sat down. My husband greeted me with, let's go. I thought, oh, it's all over, it's over, everything's over. We got in our car, we drove home. He said very little. I was very grateful. We got home a little after 5 o'clock. I said, I'm a little tired. I think I'll go to bed. I did. 5 o'clock. After all, I didn't want anyone to say anything to me. The next morning when I got up and went downstairs, everything was fine. My son said, Mama, I'm wrestling again today. You are? Those words were my son's cue. I was still accepted. Excitedly, I answered. He said, are you coming, Mama? Son, I wouldn't miss it for the world. Can I ask you just one thing, though, Mama? With the entire family around the table, including my husband. Oh, sure, go ahead, son. Do you think, maybe, you could just stay up there in the bleachers with the other parents, Mama? Before I could say a word, my husband quickly answered for me. I promise you, son, she won't move. And the moral of the story is, someone mother ends up in the gym floor once in a while. And in the middle, the most important thing is, she's there. Oh boy, is she there. What I'm saying to each of you, and I'm saying to myself, when you don't feel like it, how about add some sunshine? People are hurting all over, including me. Nobody knows what goes on behind the hearts of the people that are seated all through this building. Hurts, finances, marital problems, children, death, disappointments. I mean, unbelievable things taking place in this room here today. The greatest thing I can say is, let's help the hurting. Maybe you'll be like me. They have a little signal in our house when we're doing bad. They go, "Meow," when you're bad. "Meow." That means you're being a crabby critter instead of, hello, sunshine. But I'd like to encourage you, as we all need some sunshine in this room today. Let's start out today just bringing sunshine in our lives and the lives of everybody around us. So I've added my robe, and I've added my slippers, and I've added my smile, and if I don't, I fake it till I make it. I'm just going to add one more thing. Is it up? Sunshine. I plan to add it to my life, and I'll show you one last thing. Someone bought this from me. It's a Roaring 20s. Have you seen it?
Put the mic in front of it.
And up. I had my first one, but this is what happened to my first one. I really love this flower. But I realized something, though, even though it's broken and going through hurts, but knocked down. It still works. So even though we're broken and we have hurts and we have heartaches, it is no excuse to have us not to shine. I beg you to add sunshine to yourself. And one last time, I wish you could get the book. I believe it would help you to encourage yourself. Salvation story of my mother. Salvation story of my sister. We had 7 people in 1 month write us. The plan of salvation is so clear cut. People will read it. They'll never read it any other place. They'll read it. It'll encourage your heart. It'll give you strength. It'll put a smile on your face. We need sunshine in here today, don't we? So if we don't feel like it, we fake it till we make it. Say it. Fake it till we make it. Let's all stand and let's add sunshine to this room today. Can we? Sunshine, come on in. Ready? You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. Come on in, sunshine. Be when skies are gray. You'll never